Syndra take it away from Xie. We already mentioned Xie has played 6 games, 3 of them Syndra, 3 of them on the Twisted Fate. So he's one champion remaining for him.
Yeah, but still LGD going over towards that Ezreal. It is expected. We saw it has a 66% win rate, and LGD are one of the teams that prefer the Ezreal over the Aphelios. I'd expect DMO to pick up the Aphelios now in return. And interesting to see them pick up the Galio because Twilight has been spamming this champion in solo queue.
Interesting as well. Graves on a 43% win rate. I would have expected that to be a much higher win rate, honestly, because Graves just feels so strong in the jungle.
He definitely does. I feel like we've seen more success with Trundle in the LPL. And typically when Trundle is open, a lot of teams do opt to first pick that if there isn't a priority AD carry, but kind of curious to see DMO go with these and say, hey, we actually don't need to take AD carry right now because, you know, you've already picked your AD carry. We could save that for third. And we are going to see LGD go towards a more traditional style. Longxing is always being put on these frontline tanks, and I feel like it's good that LGD have a very central identity that we know Longxing's going to be a frontliner, Mark's going to be supporting him in some way. It's going to be about these front-to-back team fights.
Yeah, and obviously Kramer's going to have his pet cat there from Mark as we've got the Ezreal Yuumi in the bottom lane. And over on the side of DMO, you mentioned the Aphelios. It's not going to be locked in, though. They're going for Natural's comfort pick here with the Camille.
It's very strange, but the thing that's kind of nice is it seems they're very cognizant of what their identity needs to be. They need Natural on a carry champion. Twyla's going to be the one supporting him. Another interesting thing about DMO is they've played a different champion every game. They've played 4 champions in their 4 games. So we're finally going to get a bit more consistency with them picking the Graves and Camille once again.
Yeah, kind of sticking to a style that has worked for them somewhat. Also going to be able to ban away Xie's other champion, so suddenly Xie has to splash out a little bit. Granted, Xie, he's been a pro for over 5 years at this point, so I think his champion pool probably goes deeper than just TF and Syndra.
Yeah, and now it's a question of where does DMO go with AD carry? You do still have Misfortune open. Beyond that, it'd be pulling out something more obscure. Of course, Lulu's support is up, so they could look to pick up a hyper carry and go for that route against Ezreal Yuumi, which is obviously very big over in the LEC.
We could see the Ashe, because it's something that's been happening more and more. And there's something beautifully ironic about someone called Helper picking up a utility AD carry.
You're right, it is. And it actually kind of fits their comp in a nice way where you think about it, they don't have too great of engage. Sure, they have the Camille E setting up the Galio, but I do like that they're going to put in more with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
It's going to be some kind of engage locked in for them, and now LGD have to answer. Looking towards maybe getting Peanut this Lee Sin. You've all seen Peanut on Lee Sin 1,000 times. Xie gets a casted in as well, and suddenly, with this rounded out LGD composition, they're feeling really strong in the later stages of the game.
Once again, they go to front-to-back team fighting. Their late game is absolutely disgusting, and DMO going to be hard-pressed for options into them. It really feels like at this point, it's all about trying to all in on winning out in the early and mid-game.
And I'm curious at what role everyone is going to be playing here. So it is going to be the Galio going into the mid lane. I wasn't sure if they were going to flex that into the support position when they were hovering the Jace, but looks like they're going to be sticking to the standard here. Natural still taking the Camille to the top lane. And they have a lot of hard engage, a lot of ways to make this fight happen.
They do, but like we said, they're going to be on a timer. They need to make these fights happen early. So once Helper does get that level 6 mark, I really want to see him play like we saw Kramer playing on this Ashe and constantly looking for arrows around mid and jungle.
And that's one of the big things that separates good and bad Ashes, right, is not just using the arrow regularly, but target selection with that arrow. Because if you hit Longxing, if you hit the Ornn, basically nothing's going to happen. He's just going to tap the Bellows Breath, and he's going to waltz away.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Peanut decides to play out this early game with the lanes that he has. Sure, Ezreal Yuumi does have some push potential, as well as we expect Ornn to have the ability to trade with Camille in the very early stages. But after that, it's going to be quite hard with, I mean, we've seen in the LPL teams draft Kassadin and still opt for early skirmishes, but like, it doesn't feel like that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, but that is the expectation you gave me right at the start of the day, Lyric, was that we're going to see these top teams maybe speed it up a little bit. They've gone for a Kassadin in the mid lane. Can LGD actually put their foot down, though? Is there ways for them to play around the early game? They do have a Lee Sin for Peanut.
Yeah, they should be able to find opportunities, I think, especially with ganking top very early on, but then they could just look to play around their prio in the bot side and try to turn that either into dragons or invading the enemy jungle.
Have to find out if dragons are going to be the option here for LGD or if DMO are going to make something happen early on. Because bear in mind, Natural's on Camille. We've seen him play it 100 times in the past, but also he's going to have that true damage. Ornn won't be able to match up later on into the game.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to sit in the side lane, but we've seen this year, Season 10, not really about the split push in the side lane, with the fact that you're just so easily able to force teams into these fights for Dragon Soul. Just stacking your comp with Engage feels like the way to go. But looking over to DMO, their comp spikes so hard at level 6. They just have so many high-impact ultimates. And to me, what they've really built in response to what LGD have drafted with this team fight comp is a pick comp from DMO. It's about getting to a fight first with the Galio. You have the Ash Arrow to start it up, and you have a ton of bursts coming out from the grave. So if you do get anyone's from LGD's face, they should just be dead.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Ash to start the fight, but also just look at the combination between Nautilus and Galio. Nautilus goes in, he's going to lock someone down for a solid 2 or 3 seconds. That's plenty of time for Twyla to fly across the map and slam on down, continuing that CC chain and shutting someone down. So if they can execute it, they have a magnificent pick comp, but that's a big if.
One interesting to see with the runes is we have Xie going for Conqueror, which we actually saw over in the LEC Spring Playoffs. I believe Nemesis picked it up. And it's a rune you go where a lot of people view it as if you have more confidence than someone who would just want to take fleet footwork.
Yeah, it's less survivability in the lane, but more potential, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can pop off harder later on into the game when you get into the team fights, when you get your stacks on your ultimate.
Yep, you get those stacks. You're also going to be healing up, so that's quite well. And just imagine not only the Yuumi on the Ezreal, but also on the Kassadin in the late game.
Natural is having a whale of a time in the top lane. You mentioned that Langxing on the Ornn. Obviously, he'll be able to do well in these early trades, but only once he gets a couple of abilities.
Yes, once you hit that level 3 mark, you will be able to start answering Camille with these trades. He has the grasp as well. But level 1, Camille's insanely strong. The shield from your passive, of course, leading to Natural being able to take a very strong level 1 trade.
Good effort there from Mitsuki, wanting to try and force the level 2 fight, but Kramer respecting it, moving away on this Ezreal. He'll be able to keep himself safe. And this is, you know, playing a hook champion into Ezreal is probably the most frustrating lane if you're a support player.
Definitely is, especially early on in this lane where Mitsuki not going to have a lot of chances to find anything, but good trade coming out from Twyla, and that's a conversation we kind of started, but I really feel like Twyla's been giving very consistent performances on DMO, and I'd say the best performing player, even in Spring, where he did get a few games over Xie, he was the one that was stepping up, and we've already talked about it a ton, but his one play with the Zillion bombs is definitely memorable.
It was right at the start of the split as well. I believe it was even before Chinese New Year, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like right to start the Spring Split. He came out, made one of the biggest plays of the entire split, and then the team basically subbed him out from that point. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see more of him.
We're probably going to need some action right now with Twyla having mid-priority. And the cool thing about this Graves in this comp is you actually have CC in all 3 of your lanes, so you're always going to be able to find some setup if you're looking for either a gank or a 2v2. And Graves, Galio, probably one of the strongest mid-jungle 2v2s you can have. Going to be much better than Kassadin Lee Sin.
Yeah, well, that's for sure, because Kassadin ain't going to do a whole heap of much. Natural trading, and this is exactly what you were talking about, right? Now these trades are going to start to go the way of Langxing. He has so much damage inherently built into his kit. As Twyla continues to just bully Xie in that mid lane, but when you look at the CS numbers so far, it's relatively even.
Yeah, I mean, Xie's been paying for the fact that he stayed even in CS with his health, and might be regretting that he didn't take fleet footwork now. We do see that Twyla does still have some of his, one of his corrupting pots, so he's still going to be able to heal up just fine and keep punishing Xie.
I thought Natural was about to go in there. I was like, you don't have too much HP, buddy. I'm not sure that's the play.
And Langxing could just hold this lane here with Peanut pathing topside, so we really need to see Xiaopeng kind of come over, help Natural get that push so he could look for a good reset.
Xiaopeng is on the top side of the map right now, so could move over once he's finished his Krugs. Langxing trying to hold this as long as he can. Peanut's going to move on in. Natural has just started an engage as Peanut arrives. This is terrible timing for him. One more auto would proc the Brittle, but it's going to go down. Flash from Peanut just to guarantee this kill. First blood for Peanut on Lee Sin.
Yeah, great job from him. Just kind of the small micro, right? We saw him path through the lane, not walk through his jungle knowing that it could be warded. Went over. Natural having no way to really get out of it comes from, I'd say, we could say poor wave management, but I also feel like Xiaopeng could have just easily come to answer, help him push out that wave and, you know, find that reset.
And I think the pathing through the lane is the most important thing, because when you look at the minimap, there was a Scuttle Crab in favor of DMO. There was also a ward on the blue buff.
And that ward's still there. We actually see it did just catch Peanut out.
Yeah, so huge amount of vision available, which meant Natural felt like he was safe. He felt like he could go for these aggressive trades and try and force the lane in himself.
And we've seen Natural be over-aggressive quite a bit. It's been his big downfall. We even saw against E-Star where they were ahead. He was playing on that Jax and just getting a bit over-eager, getting picked off in a later team fight, leading to DMO kind of all going down.
Yeah, we've seen it once or twice, but do you know what? He's the kind of player I'd quite happily have on a roster, right? Because sometimes he may go a bit over-aggressive and sometimes he gets punished for it. But he's also the kind of player that's willing to make the play, right? And when it works out beautifully for the team.
Gonna see DMO just go for this early dragon.
Is it me or is Xie winning trades right now? I feel like maybe Kassadin wins this lane post 6. I don't know. You tell me, Lyric. I'm no analyst.
Definitely not supposed to go like this. Man, this is why we've been talking about like having pro view of these laning phases to actually see how they go.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to get a closer look, but it's going to be first dragon of the game going the way of DMO here. And, you know, we talked about the compositions. LGD don't actually want to be fighting just yet. But they might have to, because Xie went in with his Rift Walk. Xiaopeng is here. Ignite is taking collateral damage. Is just going to clip him. And it's going to be 1-on-1 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that 2v2 from DMO is so strong. And we were talking about how Natural could be over-eager sometimes, and it looks like we actually might get to see it. Okay, they're going to back off.
No, we don't get to see that one today.
I don't think we want to see it. I guess it depends. If you're an LGD fan, you probably want to see it, but...
Yeah, he's not going to go for the tower dive just yet. Does have the Hextech ultimatum, so you could dodge away from the tower aggro for a second, but Xiaopeng just going to take the opportunity, steal away the blue buff, and continue to control these Scuttle Crabs.
You know, going back to that earlier trade in the mid lane, I feel like the only way that Xie would be able to win out so much is if Twyla had proactively, let's say, W'd and tried to proc his passive instead of waiting for Xie to Rift Walk on him and then try to use it defensively. So I'm pretty sure Twyla played that one wrong. Which sucks when I've been talking about all cast.
What can I say? He's no Teachema on the Galio. I mean, did you see Teachema yesterday on Galio? That was some unbelievable play that he pulled out.
I mean, do we even really need to talk about Teacherma's Galio? We know it's a signature champion. Twyla, we don't know him for this Galio. Has been spamming it in solo queue, so it's nice to see, but it's kind of interesting because Twyla is also an Aurelion Soul player.
Twyla right now wishing he had pro view of Teachema's games so he can learn the Galio. It all comes full circle.
And this is the nice thing about DMO's comp. We've already touched on the global coming out from Twyla in the mid lane, so Xiaopeng going to have so many options on what he can do in this mid game, and this is where DMO really needs to build up their lead. But looking over to LGD side, it is nice to see that Longshinx picked up that Bramble Vest, so he's still going to be able to do well in the topside trades.
Suki and Helper moved into the mid lane. Ooh, Riftwalk just gets through, but there's a Dredge land and a Taunt. Everything lands, and Helper gets the kill.
And DMO being so proactive. Nice to see them using this Ashe once it hits the level 6 mark, moving towards the mid lane. Kind of surprised that LGD get caught off by this strategy when they've been using this strategy.
It's kind of a creative way to do it as well. Like coming from the top side of mid lane, Xie probably not going to be expecting the Ashe arrow to be coming from that direction and gets caught out. It's going to be a very nice advantage. That's now 0-2 for Xie.
And look at the vision on the map right now. DMO controlling both sides of River, even pinging out Peanut, knowing exactly where he is. So Natural should be fine in the top lane, but with Call of the Forge God open, they might be able to do a cheeky lane gank right here.
They might try. Natural already getting battered down by Langxing. Peanut arrived, but he was a little bit too late to the party, and Natural obviously just going to be able to dash away with the hookshot. Camille is one of those champions that it is just so hard to get a gank off unless she goes too aggressive.
And again, it was great that they had a ward on Gromp, so they did know that Peanut was there. Great to see Natural not overstep, but he's going to lose a bunch of experience right here.
He's going to lose a tower plate as well. Langsheng happy to grab that one for himself.
Ooh, going for a dive in the bot lane potentially.
Xiaopeng's here. He has the Rift Herald as well. Kramer knows something's up. Or does he? Steps
LGD
back in.
No TPs though. They can't save them.
Uh-oh. This is bad news. They are Ezreal Yuumi, though.
And there's no wave. Oh, there's a wave.
I've got some bad news for you, Lyric. There's definitely a wave. True Shot Barrage onto Mitsuki. You can see Kramer desperately try to clear this wave as fast as possible. But ultimately, DMO decide they're not willing to pull the trigger.
LGD played it well, right? We just saw him hit his Arcane Barrage. Also did hit some Qs, so Mitsuki and Helper getting a bit low, not wanting to risk that. Instead, Xiaopeng just going to go back towards clearing his jungle. And this is one of those Rift Heralds where we can see it used in a side lane, maybe try and get natural a lead going into the mid game.
Twy looking to move over, grab his blue buff. Xiaopeng. Good guy Xiaopeng, tanking the shots, just standing there, getting battered and bruised by the blue buff. And now, I'm curious how Twyla's going to start to use this hero's entrance, because it's such a hugely impactful ability, especially when you've got a Camille on your team. That combo with the Hextech Ultimatum, there's no way out.
We expect to see it used for the upcoming Dragon, but so far it's been used, like the threat of the Galio Ultimate's been there, right? It was there for the first Dragon that DMO did. It was there for the Rift Herald, so kind of a nice use of CC without using CC situation. And now he is able to recall because if a fight breaks out, he's going to be there in no time.
Helper's going to have that Crystalline Arrow available as well. Look at this. DMO just hiding away in the bushes, looking for the pick. They know that this is how their composition works.
Ooh.
Another arrow and another hit going straight down onto Xie. Even with Riftwalk, he can't escape. And yet again, it's Helper to grab the kill.
Yeah, and I feel like DMO here should just drop Herald and turn towards the Dragon.
And you know what? It feels great for Helper because it's so often when you're playing Ashe, you don't often get the kills, especially early on in the game. You don't do that much individual damage per auto. That's going to be mid-tier 1 cracked with the Herald. Now on towards Dragon. Peanut, he wanted to start that one. He wanted to go for it, but he knows he can't stay.
And this has been so surprising but great from DMO to see them use their mid-jungle advantage, as well as DMO's bot lane, right, having the early push to make so many plays across the map. Top lane just been on an island, which, if you're natural, you're fine with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the gold lead right now. It's 2,000 in favor of DMO. Bear in mind, LGD are heavy favorites coming into this series. LGD are in 3rd place in the standings right now.
I remember before cast we were talking about how this day would go, and I did say that if there was going to be one long back and forth best of 3, it would be this one.
Yeah, I mean, I also said I've seen many times where the top teams don't necessarily play the quickest games against the lower team opponents.
You were right, especially when they drafted the Ezreal, Kassadin, Ornn. So,
yeah.
You know, even though DMO have a lead here, I still feel very afraid looking at LGD's comp.
Yeah, I mean, Xie has Kassadin at the end of the day. Helper is doing a really good job of catching every single Mystic shot. Honestly, he has a potential career in cricket or baseball following League of Legends, because not many people can catch quite as well as he can. But we'll let him off. He's hit 2 Crystalline Arrows so far, 100% hit rate.
Great out of DMO, just controlling every neutral objective. Even going to get that blue. Next thing we probably need to keep our eye on is when that next Rift Herald spawns. DMO probably going to have their bot lane recall and hover over, and then it's going to be a question of do LGD just give, or do they just give and opt to get plates on the Kramer, or do they feel at a strong enough point to contest?
Kramer is basically out of mana if Helper wanted to go for a Crystalline Arrow, but it's not gonna pull the trigger on that one. Obviously, Kramer does have the cleanse as well, so it's a little bit more difficult to lock it down.
You also don't have vision of Peanut, and they did know Xiaopeng was on the top side, so probably not having the confidence. And now we're just gonna see. I mean, now we're at a pretty neutral state of the game where until another neutral comes up, we're not going to see much happen. Of course, DMO can continue to look for those plays with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. That's the thing I love about when Ashe is meta, is that with a lot of other comps, it is that lull state that they talk about in LCK. But with Ashe, there never has to be a lull state because you can always roam and look for a pick.
And honestly, the cooldown is way shorter than I think a lot of people expect. Everyone's starting to stack up to this top side as Twyla could be in trouble in the mid lane.
Ooh.
Nice knock up on a Peanut, but the flash kick keeps him in the fight. Now he's going to be rooted by the final chapter, taken down as Xie grabs himself a kill. In the meantime, Langsheng did walk away in the top side.
Still, that was actually really nicely played from Twyla with the flash, forcing Peanut to have to flash to guarantee the kick, but still they do have a man advantage, so DMO not able to contest, but maybe feeling good enough to posture for it because Twyla does have TP.
He's also got the hero's entrance, right? All they have to stall for is 10 seconds, and he'll be able to start sprinting back across the map. Let's get involved in the fight. And bear in mind, they never actually pulled the trigger on the pick onto Langxing. He spotted the play, moved away, so all of their ultimates are still available.
He's going to TP, of course, has Unsealed Spellbook, so going to be able to pick up another spell. And LGD just acknowledging that right now DMO's comp is very strong and going to back up for this one, but
Yeah.
as we go into like mid and late game, the thing I really want to keep my eye on is we really only have the Hextech ultimatum to lock someone down because it's going to be too unreliable with Nautilus or Ashe when you have both a Kassadin and an Ezreal.
Yeah, it's very difficult. You could arguably maybe get the Lee Sin, but even he has safeguards, so
Exactly.
it becomes very difficult to hit anyone other than just
Ornn, like you said, and maybe right now it's easy, but it's because these champions are stuck in lane collecting the waves, right? They're in a kind of set, fixed location.
Sharpung opting not to use the Rift Herald for this top lane tower because they could just brute force that one themselves, which means it will still be available if they want to finish off the last tier 1 in that bottom side, or if the game speeds up in pace miraculously, which I don't think is going to happen, they could make some kind of play towards the mid lane.
I expect him to just go towards bot right now with their bot lane. Dragon's coming up in 50 seconds, and like you said, just opening that last outer turret feels really good. Natural going to have a lot of pressure in either side that he elects to go in.
Natural able to just clear the waves under turret. And I'm impressed a little bit here by DMO and their proactivity in the early game. 16 minutes in, they've got themselves a 3,000 gold lead. They've got themselves a 2-dragon advantage that could be looking towards 3 in 30 seconds. They've got this Herald that they can place to finish off this bottom lane tier 1. And things across the map are feeling pretty good.
And LGD are actually just going to give it up. It looks like they're heading towards topside to get vision down. Looks like they're going to try and dive Twyla to secure this top turret.
Well, Xie does no damage.
No, he doesn't. He's a
So-
Kassadin with a rod and a tear.
Twyla is not that afraid of just him, but with a Yuumi and a Lee Sin...
They're not even setting it up, actually.
Oh, well, they're just going to try and brute force this one. Taunt onto Peanut. Final chapter used before the minion wave is hit. In the meantime, we've got to dive in the bottom side as well onto Langxing. They're going to try and finish this one off. Twyla going to be locked up and finished off. In the end, Xie gets the kill. It's a trade across the map. Natural happily walks away from the turret as well with Rift Herald being dropped. This is going to be a trade of objectives here. LGD might be committing to a second tower.
Yeah, but still, they don't actually have any resource to push that down with. You could just have one member recall and probably save it.
I'm pretty sure Natural can match them with the Rift Herald. He is a Camille. He's got a Triforce.
Yeah, you're right. So, actually, if anything, DMO might be able to take this inner turret compared to Xie.
Okay, Natural's not going to commit to that one. Xie's not going to commit in the top side. And in the meantime, obviously, the Dragon goes down. So very much a positive trade still for DMO. Good for LGD to find something while they know that they can't contest on the bottom side.
Yeah, gonna pick up. I mean, they're already on Soul Point, right? So
Yeah.
they only have to wait 5 minutes, and once again, LGD have to decide: are we going to fight you? We should be at a point by then where Xie is at that 2-item mark.
Let's take another look at this dive in the bottom side.
So okay,
nice ult from Natural.
he dodges it with the ultimate. We do see Nautilus ult come down as well. He's extremely tanky because he's just been free farming this whole game. But when you have a Graves and a Camille, you know you're not lacking for damage.
You're definitely not. But against Mountain Drakes, that's when things start to get a little bit dicey when it comes to the damage department. Bear in mind, DMO, they're one away from Soul here. LGD, one of their big win conditions is that Xie is going to be able to one-shot Ashe later on in the game, right? But if Ashe has a Mountain Soul, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and it becomes a further away win condition.
You're going to have 2 mountains, and we do expect her to go towards the Death Stance, so going to have that increased resistances. But even with Mountain Soul, it still should get to a point where Kassadin and Ezreal are able to deal damage, you know, through the shield. This comp does scale that hard that they'll be able to deal with it, but DMO should have the tools to not let the game get to that point.
Dude, I've just noticed on the scoreboard, Helper has been absolutely rinsed by Riot this game. He's bought a cult and it has 490 stacks. How is he ever going to cash that in?
Nice.
He's been ripped off.
Well, Munch, I feel like you just saved him. The caster curse working in reverse.
The caster blessing. Natural's in trouble. Just about dodges everything. Very nicely done. Flash, hook shot away as well. Ooh. No gets the stun onto Peanut. Nearly turned it around. But Yuumi says no.
Yeah, still. Oh, but I actually don't feel like DMO are too concerned with this one.
Yeah, they're going to take a tier 2 in the mid lane instead. Question mark ping on the Baron from LGD, but I don't think DMO are confident enough to go for that just yet.
Yeah, and still LGD at the 2 item mark. I'd say ideally they'd want to wait for that death stance coming out from Kramer before they get really aggressive, but they're not the ones in the driver's seat. They don't get a choice. If DMO chooses to start that dragon, LGD has to make a choice.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 30 seconds until time might be up. Let's see. 618 stacks right now on the Mana Moon. Thank you, observers, who definitely can't hear me because they're on the Chinese side. But so Kramer will be hitting that power spike by the time this next dragon comes up. You'd expect him to be able to finish off that last 100 or so stacks. For anyone that doesn't know, Mana Moon, once you finish off the actual item itself, your auto attacks then stack the tier as well as your abilities, so very easy for the Ezreal to finish stacking that off. It's a pretty significant spike to hit before this dragon, but Xie won't have the Seraphs.
Yeah, I agree, and another interesting thing to look at is how both teams kind of get pressure in a similar way where they have one strong side of the map, right? LGD with their Kassadin and DMO with their Camille. And then it's just about playing through that to put down vision. But obviously DMO kind of a fail-safe that they're stronger grouped as 5, so they can easily walk up, push a wave, and then go first. The thing that's okay for LGD is since they do have an Ornn, a very tanky frontliner, he can always face check, so it doesn't really matter too much that they're not the first ones to the objective as long as Longshing is there. And look at his items. Yeah. This man's already massive.
He's hit level 13. He's got massive old tanky items in his inventory, so he's going to be very hard to take down. Whoa, look at the gold on Helper right now. He is so far ahead of Kramer. It's unreal, actually. 1,500 gold ahead of the enemy AD carry. He's got a BF sword there.
I would hope with all the stacks on that call that he would cash in something.
Yeah. You get bonus gold if you hit the 490 CS mark. But importantly, he's gone for the BF sword, so he's not going the Death Stance route here. He's going to go for the Infinity Edge.
Yeah, instead going to just go for straight up DPS.
Oh, LGD have decided it's time to fight. It's time for this composition to come online, but Xie is taunted. Zhonya's to block a lot of this CC. Final Chapter not really going to commit. It's only onto Mitsuke, but knocks off everyone on the team and Dredgeline out. Natural threatening Peanut in the backline in the meantime. And LGD's engaged, not really paying off, but Peanut's going in to try and make something happen. Galio is too late to the party, and Twyla knocked up and finished off. Xie with yet another kill. Now Kramer jumps over the wall and gets a solo kill for the double on towards Helper. Xie barely dodges the hook, but LGD, I guess they are online.
Well, remember, Munch, we said it's so hard to lock down the Kassadin or the Ezreal. Your only real option is a Hextech ultimatum into a Galio ultimate. He used his ultimate on Longshing, didn't he? He locked down the Ornn.
Yep, and by the time the Galio ultimate came through, he was already dead.
And
so
it didn't matter regardless, because I feel like even had Twyla gotten there, the other members weren't close enough to follow up with damage, and at that point, Kramer's getting to free hit. Xie is able to do whatever he wants. So LGD gonna stop Soul going over to DMO. And I mean, if they weren't online before this fight, they're definitely gonna be online after. So we see LGD going in on Natural. Okay, so he ults Peanut. Peanut is fine because he has Yuumi on him. Like you said, he goes down right away anyway. Regardless, look where the other members of DMO are. So Helper and Xiaopeng not even able to get into the fight regardless.
I love how bold Kramer is towards the end of the fight as well, realizing they've already essentially won the team fight. He can jump over. It just blows Xiaopeng up. Look at that gold swing. That is a hefty little chunk of gold. That's gone up by about 1,000 in favor of Xie during that fight. And if you didn't have Seraphs by now, then it's going to be very, very close. He's able to just walk away. He's got the blue buff, so he really doesn't have to worry about just spamming his ult.
You know, going back to builds, it is interesting that Helper is going to go towards the IE. Maybe feeling like that even if he goes for that with the increased resistances, that LGD just scales so hard to have so much damage it won't make a difference. And, you know, since IE is multiplicative and works off your Runons, maybe just feeling like scaling harder with damage is a better choice.
Yeah, worth mentioning, you get kind of... Mitsuki. That's so unlucky. His recall denied by an ult that doesn't even hit him. But obviously, IE affects Ashe differently due to her passive, but it increases the damage that you do on follow or portos on anyone that you've previously slowed. So you kind of get guaranteed value out of the Infinity Edge.
Now, just once again, going to go to a point in the game where it's all about waiting for the next Drake.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Larry.
Analysis.
3 minutes on the clock until that Drake, and you kind of expect LGD to be waiting. I'd kind of like to see something out of DMO, though. Let's bear in mind, this is a pick composition. If you wait until the next Drake, LGD are going to group up again.
At this point, I really feel like it's send Twilight to one side, have him clear out that wave, have natural push bot, start having him path towards mid once LGD are catching waves, and look for another Enchanted Crystal arrow play with roams from the side lane, and have that kind of numbers advantage.
Try and force a play that way. In the meantime, this wave crashing onto the bot lane tier 2. Natural respecting that he didn't have vision on the rest of LGD, so he's not going to overcommit for the tower. Peanut maybe wants to make a play in this mid lane. Just going to be clearing the way for now. Searching for a kick. He's not going to find it. Shie moving away, and now Natural has actually found himself on the wrong side of things here. Hookshot over the wall, but Shie can keep up with you. He's on Kassadin. While Camille might be slippery, Kassadin is probably the fastest champion in the game when he's got unlimited mana.
And I love how he set up for this play that DMO should make about pushing in side lanes and XYZ, XYZ. LGD says, we don't care about catching side waves. We're just going to group mid first. We have the damage to kill you and the engage with the Ornn, Kassadin, and the Yuumi, and we're just going to look for the pick. Who cares about minions in the side waves?
And the really scary thing for DMO right now is Shie's hit level 15. He is 1 level away from that 3rd level in his ultimate. And at that point, Riftwalk, it's going to just about one-shot Helper once he gets a couple of stacks in it. He's really going to become a menace. And that's bearing in mind, he went 0-3, and then he went 3-0. He's on a rampage, right?
I mean, Kassadin is undefeated in LPL. It has not lost the game this split, so does seem like a good bet to put your money on when there's a Kassadin in the game. Not saying anyone should bet, but gonna throw that out there.
All right. Lyric, the part-time bookie. DMO moving in the mid lane now. But I don't really know why they're grouping up. I'm not sure that DMO, you want a straight-up 5v5 like this. And I think LGD realized that as well. Langshin goes Call of the Forge God. Knock up onto Helper, though. Final chapter, quite in the right direction. Helper gets to free shot for a while. Peanut stunned up. Oh, he had a stopwatch to keep himself safe. Galio ult to keep everybody away, and Kramer just can't get into the fight right now. Mitsuki is low, though. He's got the rest of his team around. Kramer still wants to keep going for this one. Drake up in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and so many members of DMO getting to, half or a quarter HP, but LG not able to lock anyone down specifically. And great Hextech ultimatum coming out from Natural to lock in Shie, so he wasn't able to get on, Xiaopeng or Helper to delete them. And still, only DMO able to find 1 kill doesn't seem too massive. But Drake is up in 10 seconds.
If they could have, honestly, if Peanut doesn't have a stopwatch there, maybe that's a much more one-sided fight. But it's important to mention that part of the strategy for LGD is this huge front line. Ashe is great at dealing with that.
Yeah, exactly. And
Twyla's in trouble. Gets a taunt onto Shie, who jumps back out of the fight. Langshing the target for now. Natural goes down already. They've got to get onto Shie, but Helper has already been deleted. Xiaopeng collateral damage isn't enough because there's a cat on his shoulder and another double for Kramer.
And
it's a triple.
Peanut didn't even have to be there. LGD just went to Drake as a 4-man, found the opportunity to jump onto DMO. DMO's comp is very, very ultimate reliant, and they don't have those ultimates up.
And, well, now they're just going to charge down the mid lane, and...
Is this over?
Maybe,
There's
honestly.
no way this is over.
Are they actually... Well, they've got 20 seconds to just brute force this one in. No, they're going to decide against it in the end. I thought they were going to go for it for a second there.
Lunchables, please respect professional League of Legends teams.
What was... That wouldn't be me being disrespectful if they went to end the game. That would be them being disrespectful. I have no power over the team's Lyric.
I saw what you did with that call, man. Like, are you sure?
Don't tell anyone, okay? Don't tell them about the script.
Let me take over. So LGD are doing Baron. There is some damage going down. DMO are in the mid lane, and that's what happens.
Yes. LGD have got to a point in the game where...
Please break this down, Munchables.
Well, you see that character there that Shie's playing? It's called Cassidy. And when he's got a cat on his shoulder, he can do this. And he can rift walk every second. And he's basically invincible because of the heals. And it means the rest of his team can do whatever they want.
Exactly. And on a serious note, as we saw in that replay, every ultimate on the side of DMO is down. No Enchanted Crystal Arrow, no ultimate coming out from the Nautilus, no Hextech Ultimatum coming out from Natural, so you're not able to lock down the carries of LGD. And then we see what happens when this comp that just has so much mobility is able to get onto the carries of DMO.
So now you've seen Cassidy. Now try imagining Cassidy with 4 Cloud Drakes. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what nightmares are made of.
Why are we imagining that? There's no Cloud Drake. You know, there's a Cassidy with a Yuumi. Isn't that enough? Yeah. Based on that last team fight, Lyric, yeah, it is enough. Hey,
it was enough for
we have
LGD.
ultimates up back on the side of DMO, but Helper has no flash, so as an immobile carry, that is, you know, a big thing to look for.
Yeah. We need to see some kind of miracle arrow at this point. We need to see Natural finding a good target. Obviously, Shie, he can only jump around if he's able to. Oh, Mitsuki is in trouble. Natural can stop Shie from dancing around the fight.
But Natural's not here, so he can't stop anything.
I'm just saying theoretically. Like, I'm trying to give some kind of hope here for DMO.
And Longxing's just stopping him. Longxing says, hey, I don't need to be there. My team can win up 4v4 straight up regardless. Oh, never mind, they're not saying that.
Why do you need this kill? Why not just end the game? Shie teleports to the bot side of the map. I don't think that was a necessary play.
That seemed like disrespect.
So is that one my fault as well somehow?
Could be.
Everything's my fault here in the LPL, apparently. Well,
I mean, we are first place.
That's true. I don't think I get to take responsibility for that, though, as much as I'd like to.
That's true.
That's all down to Morgan. 13-5 on the scoreboard, and LGD, it's been a bit of a slow burner, but aside from a few picks in the early game...
Remember how fast the game started? DMO were making moves all over the map.
I mean, it wasn't that fast, though. It was like 4 kills.
I would say it was pretty consistent, though. Like, it'd be like, let's say 1 play per every, 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Shie is just going to chase Xiaopeng. Shie is just playing solo queue. He's just running around getting kills at this point. He's so fed. Helper just about dodges away from the knockup, but exhausted and finished off. And I think that's going to be just about everything on this one, Lyric, because everybody's falling down. Helper's gone. Xiaopeng's gone. The third inhibitor is about to go down, and Shie is literally close to diving the fountain. He's happy to go underneath these Nexus towers. Natural trying to CC him. They might just be able to finish off the Kassadin. Nah, maybe not, to be honest. They're just going to continue to rock and roll this one through. 16-5, and a dominant win here from LGD as soon as they hit that 2-item bomb.
I like that you had the caveat. It's like a dominant game. What were you watching? But when the second item came in, we just... I don't like